welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I do have a fairly requested video that I have wanted to do for quite a while, but I thought I'd better wait until closer to exam season to actually do it. If you haven't worked out by the title of this video already, this is going to be my how I revise or how to revise for your GCSE or A-level or any exams that you're going to be taking. Just basically how I'm revising, tips that I have for revision, exam motivation, stress, things like that. I'm not an expert at any of this, I'm not an expert at school, anything like that. I'm just going to give the tips that I've found that have worked for me. And yeah, so let's get on into the video. Okay, so I'm going to start with actual tips for revision before I get on to actual methods of revision. This video could get quite long, so I'm going to try and whiz through it a little bit quickly, but then also go into depth of what I am actually talking about. So the place that I'm getting most of my information from is, we had a day at school the other day where we basically had the whole day of timetables and we focused on revision techniques, health with revision, all of that sort of stuff. So I do actually have a booklet that is helping me, so if I'm looking down, that is why, because I am also just passing on the information that I've learned from my school, because I feel like not many schools actually do these days or give this information. So a lot of you won't really know half of this or could use this, so I thought I would just put it into a video, condense it down a little bit, just so that you can have the information as well as me, because I found that it is really helpful. So my first tip is very simple, very easy. Start revising early. Don't wait until a week before your exam. Don't wait even until maybe a month before your exams, because if you're doing GCSEs, you can have like 15 exams and you don't want to be revising for all 15 exams the week before, the month before. I wouldn't say revise too early, because that is a mistake that I have been making, because you will end up burnt out by the time it gets to actual exam period, which is what happened with my mocks. I revised way too early, ended up being burnt out by my mocks and just getting really stressed out. So I would say revision in the February half term is probably the best shout. I'm going to start doing my proper revision February half term, because I feel like that does leave quite an equal balance of time, so you haven't got too long, you haven't got not enough. I feel like that is a perfect balance, but definitely don't leave it until before the exam, because you will end up overwhelmingly stressed out. You won't be able to concentrate on your actual revision because you'll be thinking about how much you actually have to do. So getting started early is always the best bet. Tip number 2, don't spend all of your time making your revision notes look nice. I understand that you probably want to be able to read them and enjoy reading them and actually want to read them. This is a massive waste of your time, because you could be spending the time that you're spending drawing little pictures and using all this nice colours and fonts and all this on actually learning the content, rather than just drawing all over a piece of paper to make it look pretty. You can still include all the detail you need, just don't try and make it look like something that Picasso would have produced in an art gallery. So just 2 or 3 colours, basic. Tip number 3 is to take short breaks. I am such a bad person for this, because I barely take breaks when I revise. I sort of just try and do it in blocks, but our brains at the age of 16, 15 can't physically take that much information, and I am trying to stop doing such big blocks of revision because they don't work. You have to take breaks every half an hour-ish. Just taking breaks every half an hour, going off doing something else, getting some lunch, or just sitting on your phone for 30 minutes is really going to help refresh your brain. And you also can't focus on just one subject for an hour, because you'll get bored of the subject. Your brain will stop focusing after about 40 minutes. And then the other 20 minutes will have been wasted. So if you do, say, half an hour of maths, have a break for 10 minutes. Half an hour of English, have a break for 10 minutes. Things like that probably going to work a lot better than if you just do a block hour of maths, half an hour break, a block hour of English, half an hour break, because your brain will just, nah. Tip number 4, stick revision notes around your house. This is one that I did learn in the school day, and I am actually going to use it because I feel like it will really help. And basically that means just getting a pack of post-it notes, writing on whatever you want to write on the notes that you need to remember, so maybe a quadratic equation, maybe just a fact, a date for history, something like that. Write that around your house, stick it on your fridge, on your mirror, on your wardrobe, on your food, your carton of milk, whatever that you regularly go to. Stick it on there, and every time you have a look in that place you will have to see that, ask yourself a question about it. So maybe you could put, what day was the end of World War II? And you'd know instantly 1945 as soon as you look at the post-it note, because you will have learned it through regularly checking. So I feel like that is going to be a really helpful thing. I'm definitely going to be using that because it does seem like a good idea. Tip number 5 is to already have your snacks and drinks with you before you start revising, because otherwise you'll get 10 minutes in and you'll think, you know what, I want a snack. You'll go away from your revision and you'll completely lose concentration or focus. Get all your snacks and drinks ready before you start revising, because otherwise it will be a distraction. Number 6 is to not sit on your bed to revise. I know that a lot of people do like this, but your brain associates with bed with sleep. So you are not really going to be able to revise properly to your full potential if you are on your bed. I'd recommend sitting at a desk or a table in your dining room, something like that, because otherwise you're not going to be able to concentrate because you just want to go to sleep. Because I know that for a fact, I used to revise on my bed and I always used to nearly fall asleep because it makes me tired. Tip number 7, don't procrastinate. This is such an easy thing to do, and I find myself that I procrastinate a lot, but if you don't procrastinate, you'll get things done, you'll feel amazing about yourself, you'll absolutely love yourself when it comes to GCSE results day because you didn't procrastinate. If you're finding that you are struggling with motivation for exams, I say watch GCSE results videos on YouTube, watch exam videos like this, revision videos, anything that will motivate you to revise, watch it, because I sat and watched GCSE results videos for like half an hour before my science exams last year, and I just revised constantly because I was really motivated after watching the videos. Tip number 8, don't just sit and read through a textbook. You need to make notes, you need to write things down. If writing things down in colour is going to help you, highlighting, whatever is going to help you, write it down, because just sitting and reading through notes, your brain's not going to take it in. I used to do this as revision, and that is when I was getting U's, F's, things like that. Don't do it, doesn't help, doesn't work at all. I know from experience, it doesn't work. Number 9, and this is something that I really do need to start doing, and that is don't turn into a revision machine. You need to have a break, you need to do other things, go find hobbies, go shopping, go to town, go to the cinema, anything like that, just for a couple of hours on a Sunday or whatever you want to do, but just don't spend every waking hour of every day revising, because you'll be completely burnt out by the end of your exams. And it's just not going to be good for your mental health. Number 10, that is make yourself a revision timetable. I personally don't find that these work because I really don't stick to timetables. However, you might find that they work a lot better for you because you are probably a lot less stubborn than I am. If someone tells me to make a revision timetable, I just won't stick to it because I don't want to. Like, there's no other reason, there's no reason like I struggle to, I don't want to stick to a timetable. I prefer to just go with the flow with my revision, do whatever I'm feeling like doing, but making a revision timetable can be quite helpful. Set it as your phone lock screen, set it as something that you're going to look at quite often, because then you can look at it. If you go on your phone when you're trying to revise, you can feel guilty, turn your phone off, put it away because you've seen your timetable. Okay, so now on to actually the way that you revise. We had to do a quiz yesterday, and it basically told you what type of learner you are. I'm probably going to take a picture of this quiz, put it onto Twitter for you all, and then you can answer the quiz for yourself, because I feel like this is a really helpful quiz. It will tell you what type of learner you are, if you are visual, audio, or kinesthetic, which basically means you have to do things to learn them. I will put this quiz on Twitter. You can all go ahead onto my Twitter, it will be in the description, and you can find the quiz, find out what sort of learner you are. I am apparently, what learner am I? So the quiz told me that I was a visual learner, which means that in order to revise I have to use colours, highlighting, mind maps, posters, flashcards, things like that are going to be the best that help me revise, and I kind of agree with that because flashcards really do help me. So this quiz is definitely going to be useful. It will be on my Twitter. Okay, on to revision methods. The first revision method that I personally think is so effective, I use all the time, that is flashcards. Now, if you get these pretty coloured flashcards, these are from Amazon. I will leave them linked. I just dropped them. I will leave them linked. These are just amazing. Basically, what you do is you write a question on one side. So this is one that I made up for food tech. This is one that I did for food tech before my mock exams. Basically, you write a question on one side, and then on the other side you put the answers to the question. So then if it comes to it, you can get your mum, your dad, your sister, your dog, someone to test you on your question. And then you can just like throw the answer out at them. They'll be like, oh my god, how did you do that? And you're like, because I did my flashcards. So flashcards are a really good way to revise. The next method of revision is to use mind maps. This is obviously a blank piece of paper, but I'm sure that there'll be an overlay of me making an example mind map. But mind maps are just a really good way to revise because you just put the main focus of the topic in the middle and then you do branches off with information about it. So I did one a while back for the Plains Indians and history, and it just told me the main focus of the topic, which was the Native Americans, and then there was branches off about their religion, their beliefs. There was a section about the people in the tribe, what they did, all of that. And it's just a really good way to revise. You can stick it on your wall, stick it on your ceiling so that when you're in bed looking up before the night before the exam, well, not the night before the exam, but when you're just in bed looking up, you can just see the poster on the ceiling and it's like, oh, I know that. So yeah, these are a really good way to revise as well. You can add some nice colours on there. Yeah. The next method is past exam papers. These are just some maths ones, which I think I've done. Have I done these? Okay, I started to do this one and then gave up, which just about sums up my attitude towards maths, but you know. Past exam papers are a really good way because you do get an example of what the questions are going to be asked like, because I know that in lessons you get asked questions and then you get into an exam and you're like, wait, I don't have a clue what it's asking me to do, because it asks in a completely different style. I really don't like exam questions, I don't like exams, but these are just really good. Get the mark schemes up, have a look at what the mark schemes are telling you the right answer, and you can get sort of a gist of what you're meant to be doing. The next method is to teach someone else. I did this last year with my sister. We were walking through town and I just started talking about Edward Jenner. Do you remember that? Yeah. My sister is sat there. I just started talking about Edward Jenner because I found that that really did help me to understand. Even if you're revising in a small group of friends, or you're revising with your mum because your mum will listen to you. Mine probably won't, she'll probably just walk away if I start talking about Edward Jenner, but you know. So if you just take it in turns to talk to each other about your section of revision, so if one of your friends wants to talk about isotopes in science and things like that, then they can teach that to you, and then you can go back and teach them about, like, I don't know, any other science topics, I don't know, natural selection, something like that, whatever unit it is that you're doing, whatever subjects you're doing. You could just sort of teach each other it, because that does really help for me, because I don't know, it just does. The next method is using websites. Now, I do have quite a success story with the website BBC Bitesize, because last year in science, at the start of the year, I was getting U's and F's and D's and E's in tests, and then in my actual, because we did one of our science GCSEs last year, in my actual science GCSE, I got a B in the space of, I think it was 6 months. Due to using BBC Bitesize, watching a specific YouTube channel, which I will leave linked in the description. I think it was like 3 science lessons, something like that, and then Christopher, and I think it was Christopher Thornton as well that I used. I will leave all of these linked in the description if you want to use them. But just watching their videos and making notes on them really, really helped me out, because they basically got the big scale of the information and just condensed it down into smaller notes that you can use for flashcards, mind maps, anything like that. So websites are definitely a huge help. And then another method is getting other people to test you, just sitting down with someone and saying, test me on this, giving them your mind map, giving them some information, and then just getting them to ask you questions on it. Does really help you out, because it does prepare you for if a question gets asked in the exam, you can be like, I remember being asked that at home, so then you can just write down the answer. It does really help out, I promise. And then at school we got taught 4 rules of revision, so I'm going to go through them now. The first one is don't worry. This is one that I'm bad at. I get ridiculously stressed out with revision and exams and things like that, but not worrying is probably the best choice to do, because otherwise it gets a bit much and you just can't concentrate on what you're doing. It's not good. The second rule is don't go over things you already know. If you are an absolute genius at, say, English, you already know all of the quotes that you need to know, you already know how to annotate everything, how to analyse stuff, don't bother revising that, because then you'll get into the exam, get into like your maths exam, and you won't know what you're doing. You'll just want to sit there and start quoting inspector calls, but I don't think that'll get you the grade in your maths exam, so don't go over things you already know, not worth it, waste of your time. 3 is find out exactly what you need to know. If that means asking the teachers for what's on the specification, revision guides, things like that, they do really help out. And 4 is to plan your revision. Don't just go into it, at least have an idea of what topics you're going to do, what way you're going to do them in, because otherwise you're just going to be like a bit disorientated, you're not really going to know what you're meant to be doing, all of this, all of that. Okay, next I'm going to be talking about revision guides. As you can see, I have a revision guide for every single topic probably imaginable. Yeah, there is more, but they're really heavy. Revision guides are a massive help, especially when it comes to English, because, for example, this Inspector Calls revision guide, you basically open it up, analyses everything for you. All you need to do is make notes on what they have analysed. Remember that for the exam, and you've smashed it. These revision guides really are helpful. They just condense all the information that you've learned into note-taking form so that you can make notes on them. You can do your flashcards, do your posters easily. Someone's decided to start drilling. If you haven't already got revision guides, especially, fun fact, especially these Edexcel German ones, I find these really good because they're actual workbooks, so like they give you sentences and you have to fill in the right word. Actually as well, German, I feel like I haven't spoken about German enough. German, Memrise. Use the website Memrise because Memrise is amazing for learning German vocab. I have learned so much vocab from Memrise, like, it's ridiculous. So that website will be linked as well in the description. Basically, just check the description if you want to find anything that I've talked about because it will all be linked there. Final tip, and potentially the most important one, is put away your phone, put away your iPad, put away your laptop, put away your speaker, I don't even know. Put anything away that is going to cause a distraction. Even if you have to move your makeup out the way, because I know for a fact that if I get bored and if I just want to distract myself, I will just sit and do my makeup for no reason. Hide it, put it in a drawer, lock the drawer, throw away the key, whatever you have to do. Just lock anything that is going to be a distraction away because that is not going to be effective revision. You're not going to feel good after you've done it. It doesn't work. You can't be revising and then Snapchatting your friends saying that you're revising, because most of the time you're probably not revising if you are Snapchatting about it, which is something that I have learned. So that was all of my tips for this revision video. If you do have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comments and I'll try and reply to as many of you as I can. As I said, I'm not a revision expert. This is just information that I have learned from my school, and I just wanted to pass on to you just because everyone deserves to know the information. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Before I go, I just want to say, if you do have exams coming up this year, even though they are quite a while away, this is going to be my last school-based video, I think, before then. So if you have exams coming up, good luck, you'll do amazing, don't worry, and don't procrastinate because it's not going to help you out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're not already and you would like to see more videos from me, and I'll see you again next week with another video. Bye!